Hello everyone. So this video is to demonstrate the baking process in Cycles Render to bake the image textures from the random flow materials. And this is requested from someone in Discord who is a 2D artist and is just transitioning to the 3D world. Okay, so what we're going to do is actually use an external add-on for this, which is the Textools, and you can download this for free. So this is the name of it, Textools. You can download this for free and just look for it. I think it's in GitHub now. I think the main page is gone, but they have their primary GitHub page just to download this add-on. So we're going to use this for the baking process. Okay. So the challenge was to just try it with a simple mesh just to demonstrate the process of baking. So the model and the texture can be displayed or viewed in Sketchfab. Okay, so auto mirror, let's just create our simple mesh. Random panels, this needs to be Unimesh just to simplify the demonstration process. So merge panel, and let's extrude. Set the even depth to on because the geometry is just a simple angular cube. Set this to 20. We're going to just look for a simple pattern like this. Okay, I'll be a bit more thickness and then clip the center line. Okay, so we're going to add the textures. Go to extras, shading, and add materials, and in this case we're going to add the soft UV. It's not the materials. Shader, soft UV. You can use soft UV or hard UV. The difference between the two textures is that the hard UV is of course sharper, and the soft UV is of course softer. Let's just change the HDRI. Okay, and save this. Okay, so before we bake, we need to actually UV this. Let's just open another window here and set this to UV mapping. We'll select everything and unwrap. And we need to straighten this in order for the pattern, for the texture to actually align straight. And because it's this way, if we, yeah, look at the textures, they're skewered and twisted. We need to make the island straight in order for them to, in order for the textures to line up. Okay, so you can use Textools for this, Textools. And in UV layout, we're going to use rectify. You can select a whole island using L and then click rectify. And then just repeat the action on each of the islands. Rectify. There is another method, and I'm going to show you after this. I'm just going to demonstrate the process. Rectify. Wait. I don't need to actually select them one by one. I can select multiple. So L, 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 and then rectify. Okay. Sorry about that. View and in UV, pack islands and do not rotate. There we go. Now you have your, now the textures are straight. Look at that. And There's another way. We need to reset this. Go to object, so make sure everything's selected and or every face is selected. Go to object mode, and then in random flow extras in mesh, you can try the straight UV and just use the default setting and press OK, and then you have this. So if you can compare the result, this is much more. The resulting faces are evenly sized than compared to using rectify. So we're going to use this instead. Of course, you have to look at this. This darkly shaded, face here means it's an overlap, but we're just going to let it slide. You can edit that manually when you're using this. So it also appears with rectify. Some faces can overlap during the flattening process. Okay, so just edit that after UV, and we're going to pack islands. Do not rotate. Oh, okay. And we're going to view the result. There we go. Let's go to shader and just modify the size of the texture. There we go. And then we can bake. We need to duplicate this and use that duplicate as our bake to object. And go here on the outliner and rename this to, since we're using Textools to bake this, it needs the underscore LP and underscore HP to determine which of the mesh is high poly and low poly. Low poly being the bake to mesh, and the high poly as the bake from mesh. Okay, but there's a bit of a caveat with the naming convention. You need to name them the same in the initial part. So for example, cube LP, and for our high res is going to be cube as well, HP. So I have problems with, so for example, if you name this as cube LP and then square HP, it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't work. So just use this naming convention, and we're going to use 20 by 48, 20 by 4, 2048 by 2548 map. Okay, and we're going to go to baking, and we're just going to bake the base color. So this is just the color, no reflections, no roughness, no specular. Okay, so select the two objects concerned in the baking process, but first, in the low poly, remove the material that is being used by the high poly model as well. Then add a new material and just leave it. And then select the two again. And right here, so you notice that we have two icons, the cube, the green cube, and the green sphere, meaning that it has recognized our low poly and high poly objects successfully. The low poly is the cube, and the high poly is the sphere, which is the subdivided cube. Okay. So now we can, of course, bake it. And let's bake it using the default parameters. Okay, so what you notice immediately is the noise and all this unwanted pixel destruction right here, and that has to do with the shader. So since we just need to bake the diffuse color, we're going to go here and disconnect this, probably keep the bevel, but disconnect all this bump which is causing all that noise. and also set the edge mask to 0. This will also generate some weird lighting in the valleys and the sharp edges. So 0. And then scratches, we can probably just leave scratches. And then quick dirt and cavity mask we can leave as well. And this will provide they will still provide the same effect in the baked texture. And let's go back to UVs. Okay. And click on the two again. Okay, now we have them set. Then bake. It's still. Oh, forgot one thing. I forgot another thing. The ambient occlusion as well. Remove this. So it's causing all those dark areas. Then bake again. There we go. Now we have the texture that we need. So uh, the dirt effect is looking really pixely here because of the map that we're using. We're probably going to get a better or a much smoother result using the 4K map. But in this case, it's just a demonstrate the process, so we're going to stick with 2K or 1K. Is it 1K or 2K? Okay, so let's hide our high poly object, supposedly high poly objects, and you can save the image externally using the Alt S hotkey, or just click on this icon here so that Blender doesn't uh it kind of just I don't think there's a timer for it, or is there a timer for it? It cleans out, it looks through every data, and sometimes with image textures, if it has no user, it sort of cleans out the pixels and turns everything black. But if you click on this, it will add a fake user to it. So even if you don't save it, it will be, if you save Blender, it will be saved in the file, and when you open it, it's going to be there again. But just to be sure, save it externally if it's really important. But of course, you can still use the fake user option. Okay, so here in our low poly object, just click on this image icon here, then drag it to the shader window, and then we can just click on the connect it to the base color. There we have it, our baked map, the texture. I think Sketchfab has its own ambient occlusion overlay, so you really don't need to actually bake the ambient occlusion in this case. Or maybe it's just the connection of the high poly. Maybe it's just the connection that's causing all the errors in the baking. So you can just play around with repositioning the ambient occlusion if you really want to bake the ambient occlusion. And yeah, or you can bake it separately. You can also bake it separately using Textools. So click on AO, and we're going to just use 8 samples. The higher the samples, the cleaner the image will get, less noise, but the slower the baking process will be. So for this demonstration, we're just going to use 8 samples. And select our tube object again, and then bake. So it's causing all this. This is because the faces are probably overlapping. So we need to extrude our bake to mesh 0.005 and then bake again. There we go. So this is our AO, and we're going back to the create a fake user, and then go back to the low poly object, hide our high poly object again, and then drag our AO, and let's mix it using multiply. So this is our AO. So this is no AO and with AO. So you can see that the values are much darker. So let's just use something like 0.6. Okay. And this is the same process when baking the normal map. Okay. But with normal map in Blender, in order for you to view it correctly, you need to let's go to image texture. Let's just use something here. Okay, color space should be non-color, and when you connect it to the normal, you need to use go to vector and add a normal map, and this is the uh, correct setup for viewing the normal map if you baked one. And the color space should be non-color, not sRGB. Okay, Blender usually defaults it to non-color when detecting the image, especially with the naming convention when you have normal in there or displacement. So normal and displacement should be non-color color space. Okay, so that is how you go about baking in um, using the cycles render and baking the textures from random flow. Okay, so for Unimesh, I'm not going through the baking process again, but I'm going to show you how you can Unimesh a simple geometry. This probably won't work with super uh, really complicated meshes or really complicated Gribble designs, but for simple stuff, it can work. So for example, if I do this and something like this, and then add another one. Oops, this is merged. Okay, clear merge. And click this icon to get rid of the non-extruded faces. Okay, so we have multiple objects. Then we can add another one right here and create a different depth. So this is a multiple object design. Let's just save, and we can boolean this together using merge objects, and we're going to merge to the cube and offset the target's 0.001 value. Not the target. Wait, yeah, the target. And okay, so that doesn't really. Okay, how about the Boolean? No. So it's not because of the nature of Booleans. This is really sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Zero, fill holes, zero here as well. Like, okay, probably not. So what you can attempt though is just join it, duplicate it, and just join it manually using Control J. And then you can go to the UV mapping process again. So UV and wrap, and then mesh straight UV. This only works for angular models, not organic. And then you can try and bake it using this. So inside our bake to object, it's still nothing is merged. So it's still composed of multiple face islands, but of course you can render bake the textures into it, no problem, using these multiple objects. So there is an instruction there in not Gribble Bake, Textools, and you basically just select everything. And I think you need to name all your bake from objects as underscore HP and your bake to objects as underscore LP for low poly. They need to be in the same position in order to bake correctly. Okay. So if you move them, you can just select one of the bake from mesh, cursor selected, and then selection to cursor. Yeah, selection to cursor. Select this, and then there we go. Cursor to selected, selection to cursor. There we go. Then select everything and bake. Okay. So that is the baking process in Cycles Render. So go ahead and use Textools because this is much easier than actually using the cycles, uh, the way that you should do it in Cycles Render, which is kind of annoying. You have to place your images in the material of the low poly, and yeah. So with Textools, everything is you can just click on what map that you're trying to bake, and then assuming that you have the naming conventions and the objects set up correctly, then you can just bake all this by clicking on it, click on it, and then bake. If you need to repeat the map, just click on the same map. So for example, you need to rebake AO, click on AO, and then just bake. And also your previously baked map is, I think, displayed here. There we go. So these are the maps that I baked, texture maps that I baked using the original two objects from before. So cube AO and cube base color. So you can click on it, and then just rebake. Maybe uh yeah the the image is, you can see here, it's gone. Blender cleaned it out, so we need to bake it again. Okay. The fake user didn't work. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now you can use these maps in any external software or any site in the internet. Okay. So that is it. I hope everything's simple. It's simplish. Nothing's really simple when you're baking. Okay. So um, if you have any questions, use the comment section below or the links in the description. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.